Is President Trump's peace plan starting to fall apart? That's the question people are starting to ask around here because the ceasefire got blown up in the last few days, right? We are seeing actual fighting. We have been seeing actual fighting as Hamas terrorists have killed 2 Israeli soldiers, wounded several more. Israel responded attacking 100 different Hamas positions. Israel started getting attacked in the press and by left-wing crazies that we were breaking the ceasefire. We weren't breaking the ceasefire. We were responding to Hamas breaking the ceasefire. But that's the question. Is the whole peace plan that Trump laid out blowing up, unraveling, or is something else going on? The ceasefire unraveled over the weekend. Now, technically, as I record this, Israel said, okay, we're stopping for now. But the question is Hamas going to keep fighting, or was this an aberrant, moment, or is Hamas testing? I think Hamas is testing President Trump. I think they want to see, is Trump really going to restrain Israel, or are they going to give us, is Trump going to not want the whole deal to blow up and therefore, try to keep Israel from fighting back? And we can take little shots here and there. The other issue related is Israel was expecting what Hamas had promised, right? All 20 live Israeli hostages did come out, right, on last Monday. That's great. Praise God. I mean, that was really a miracle. But all 28 bodies of the Israelis that had been killed, brutally murdered by Hamas in those terror dungeons, they were all supposed to be released at the same time, and they weren't. Okay, so that was already a huge violation of this ceasefire peace deal. But Hamas is like, oh, we're trying. We can't find the bodies. We need help. We need bulldozers. We need heavy equipment. We need more help to find. Like, you've had 2 years, where every single body is because you murdered them. And you telling us now that after signing the deal that you would give everybody back, that you don't know, I don't know where these bodies are. You're lying. Hamas is lying. And anyone who tells you that Israel is responsible for breaking the ceasefire, they're full of it. They just absolutely have no idea what they're talking about, okay? So what's happening? Hamas is slowly saying, oh, here's a body. And then it turns out it's actually not an Israeli body. It's the body of a Palestinian instead, okay? So Israel, you know what Israel has to do every time it gets a casket? First, Israel has to analyze it from every possible angle to make sure it's not booby-trapped to blow up the Israelis who are receiving the casket, and then opening the casket, and then investigating and doing DNA testing, okay? So that's the first thing, because we do not trust Hamas at all, nor should we. These are killers, these are murderers, but they're under tremendous pressure, right, by the Israeli military and by President Trump to stand down and give back these hostages. When Lynn and I founded the Joshua Fund in 2006, the mission was clear: to educate and mobilize Christians to bless Israel and her neighbors in the name of Jesus. And that mission is more urgent than ever. Would you join us at this critical hour and become an Epicenter ally? With your generous monthly tax-deductible donation of $50, $100 or more, you can help us invest in churches and ministries that are preaching the gospel, teaching the word, shepherding the flock, making disciples, caring for the poor and needy, comforting widows and orphans, and strengthening the church to fulfill the Great Commission in Israel and the Arab Muslim world. You'll also be helping the Joshua Fund educate the church in the United States and around the world about God's love and prophetic plan for Israel and her neighbors. Go to joshuafund.com/TBN, make a donation, and become an Epicenter ally today. So as I record this, I think we've got 12 bodies back, and each of these have had to be carefully studied by Israeli forensic experts with DNA testing to find out, are they Israelis and which Israelis are they? And then one by one, we're processing and identifying, and then letting the families know, then letting the media know. And it's been a very painful process. This was all supposed to be done on day one, and it wasn't. But We've got 12 back, and more are coming. We got to get up to 28. That would be everybody. I think we will get there, but I don't trust Hamas, and I don't like this process at all. But is this blowing up the peace process, the Trump plan? No, but it's a test. It's a test of President Trump, right? It's a test of Trump and his team to put maximum pressure on Hamas to keep the deal, okay? Then let's assume for a moment that we get all the hostages out. Then what? What do we do about when hostages pop up from a tunnel here, from a hatch there, and start shooting an anti-tank missile or light arms at our soldiers? Well, we're going to fight back. Okay? There's nothing in this deal that tells us we can't defend ourselves if Hamas opens fire. But I think Hamas is testing to see if President Trump is going to put maximum pressure on Israel not to fight back. I don't think he hasn't done that yet. I don't think he will. And I told you on the Rosenberg Report and in the YouTube exclusive that I did went into a little bit more detail last week. I told you expect hard days. Okay, this is going to be messy. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be clean. There are going to be hard days. There are going to be setbacks. But overall, I believe we're moving in the right direction. Okay, I believe we're moving in the right direction. I expect there to be bumps in the road, and there have been. Okay, but I'm just telling you, be patient and don't stop praying. I'm speaking to most of you who are watching are evangelical Christians, but I'm grateful for every Jewish person, every Muslim person, any faith or no faith that's watching this YouTube exclusive or the Rosenberg Report. Thank you for watching. We want you to know what we think, how we see the world as evangelical Christians, and we want you to have news and analysis that you can trust. What I'm saying is, I think we're moving in the right direction, but there are a lot of ways the thing could unravel. I mean, really unravel, not just have hard days, right? The thing that concerns me most about this deal is the heavy central involvement of two countries I do not trust at all, okay? Qatar is one, okay? I'm not saying I'm not bullish and that I'm not cautiously optimistic that Trump is going to take this to the right place. I told you that before, and I'm sticking to that. But I am concerned of Qatar's heavy involvement. I'll explain why in a moment. Turkey is the other country that I do not trust at all, okay? And you shouldn't trust Qatar or Turkey at all. But they are playing a double game. Both of them are the leaders in Qatar and President Erdogan in Turkey. They seem to love radical Islamists. They allow Hamas terror leaders to live in their countries. They're not arrested. They're not put in prison. They're not deported to some country where they have done terrible damage, like Israel. Qatar and Turkey host terror leaders in their countries. What are we talking about here? How in the world, in this part of the 21st century, can any country that calls itself an ally of the United States, how can they be hosting openly terror leaders? It's insane. But President Trump has decided, okay, that they're useful. That, okay, that's a problem, but rather than berate them or cut them off, we're going to try to leverage these two countries to help us with the things we want to get done. So if Qatar has the best access and trust with Hamas leaders, why cut them off? Why not, A, do business with them? President Trump and his team, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, they all do business. They do billions of dollars of business with Qatar. I have a problem with that. However, those relationships did get all the 20 live hostages back. So, and we've gotten at least 12 bodies back, and I think we're going to get all 28 bodies back. So I have to find myself thinking maybe Trump is right for the near term. Maybe he's as upset with this double game that both of these countries play, cozying up to Iran, cozying up to Russia, and of course hosting terrorist leaders in their own home countries, home cities, in their capitals. That's insane. But maybe Trump is right at this point, pressure Qatar and Turkey to help us, but don't let that pressure be seen publicly. But I will tell you that my sources in the region, in the Saudi camp, in the United Arab Emirates camp, Bahrain, Morocco, other countries are concerned. They're concerned. They despise Qatar so much that all the Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC members several years ago cut off Qatar. Said they are sponsors of terrorism, they're promoters of instability in the region, there's promoters of radicalism in the region. We're not dealing with you. And they literally cut off Qatar. No financial transactions, no flights, no travel of any connection. Qatar, of course, also hosts, is home to the most anti-American, most anti-Israel, most anti-Semitic television network in the region. That's Al Jazeera. That's based in Doha, the capital of Qatar. So all the Arab countries have a huge problem with Qatar. All the countries I just mentioned, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, as well as Jordan and Egypt, these are all countries that have cut off the Muslim Brotherhood, do not deal with the Muslim Brotherhood. Muslim Brotherhood is illegal in their countries, and they have done everything they could, especially in the Gulf countries, to get anti-Israel, anti-American, anti-Semitic teaching out of their textbooks, out of the mosques, out of the media. Now, Jordan and Egypt have not done as well on that. There's some, but not nearly enough. But the Gulf countries, except for Qatar, have done a great job. So they want to help the United States. They want to help President Trump get this right in Gaza. What they're worried about is Qatar and Turkey wanting to be so involved. Okay, they're involved in getting the hostages out. Okay, maybe that's their strong point. But there is a lot of concern, and it's not just Israeli concern, that Qatar and Turkey are not intending to get rid of radical Islamism in Gaza. They don't intend to get really rid of Hamas or de-radicalize the mosques and the schools and the media in Gaza. If they did, they would have done that in their own countries, but they don't. They are promoters of radicalism. So that's the challenge, okay? We are not close right now to a dramatic expansion of the Abraham Accords. I think it will come when we will be surprised. I think Indonesia's inbound. I think the Saudis will be inbound. I think other countries will join the Abraham Accords in due course. But right now, a lot has to happen to make the initial, phase one of this peace deal work. We've got to get all those hostages out. The test right now is on President Trump and his team. They have to stand with Israel. They have to get all the hostages out, and they can't allow for an instant Qatar and Turkey to stop putting pressure on Hamas to stand down, lay down their arms, and quit, surrender. That's the peace plan. That's what they signed on to. That's what Trump wants. That's what Qatar and Turkey should be pushing every moment of every day. Anything less is absolutely unacceptable. So let's keep praying for pressure and praying for success. This is Joel Rosenberg back in Jerusalem with a YouTube exclusive for the Rosenberg Report.